I think I was born to be a hairdresser. And in a way, I'm glad. I remember very clearly when I was about 6, my father making a box, horrible looking little box. In Lebanon, everybody recycles everything. He said, if you want to make me something, buy me a bike. He said, I know what's best for you, and this box is for you. We go to his shop, he had a beautiful shop, like a hair salon, and he puts the box behind somebody's chair. So now get up on that box and start making them feel nice. Play with their hair, brush their hair, scratch their hair, whatever you want to do, just play with their hair while they're waiting for their haircut. So I like that. So I like fiddling with people's hair. As a kid, half the village used to have the haircuts by me, so their mothers would come in, look what your son has done to my daughter's hair. So at the end of the day, I remember how much tips I got. I said, look, Dad, look how much money I got. He said, where did you get that from? I said, from the people. I don't think he believed me, but he couldn't work out where I got so much money from. He said, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. It's working. And that's how I really became a hairdresser. That's how I started becoming a hairdresser. I was born in Lebanon, and then I was very lucky. I migrated to Adelaide because of the vision of my grandfather, then my father. When we came here, my mother came from quite a wealthy family. And when she came here, all that was left behind, and not much money, and 5 kids, 6 kids to feed, no English, and her tenacity was just unbelievable. And I think that tenacity rubbed off on me. So Mum, wherever you are, thanks, you're incredible. So I was very lucky. I got my mother's tenacity, but I got my father's hands. My father was very creative. And I was winding perms when I was 6 and cleaning the rods and winding up and mixing the tint and mixing the color. So to both of them, thanks, wherever they are. And I worked with my father until I was 17, and we were different. I said, Dad, I really don't want to do it this way. I want to do it this way. And he said, what are you going to do? I said, open a shop. And he laughed. And he won't believe me. I was 17 when I owned my first salon. And I wasn't old enough to run a shop because I was an apprentice. So I had to hire a senior person to be my boss. Don't ask me how I knew at 19 Adelaide wasn't right for me, yet it's a beautiful city. And I went to Melbourne, from Adelaide to Melbourne, and I worked there for a while. My dream was to see Australia, then travel overseas. So I went to Sydney, got my license, and I was so excited that day. I ran in the back of a car in the Harbour Bridge. And at 19, 20, I still to this day, I don't know how I had the wisdom and the vision to find Queensland. That's the bit that blows me away. So I came to Brisbane, and it was sort of love at first sight. It just sort of happened. As I was driving into Brisbane, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a beautiful day, and the car was blue, sky blue MGA, and the hood was down, and I'm driving very slowly, and everybody's looking at me and waving. So I'm waving back, and they're waving at me, and I'm waving at them. I didn't discover for about a week or two later, the car was so different. They're all looking at the car. So I'm waving to them and they're waving to me, and it's been like this ever since. Went to Longreach. I thought I was going to Toowoomba or something like that. So 2 days later, I'm still driving. So I arrive into Longreach, go into this pub for a drink, and I walk in, park my car, and this bloke looks at me and said, "G'day, mate. You're new in town?" I said, "Yes." "What do you do?" "Oh, I'm a ladies' hairdresser." "A what?" "A ladies' hairdresser." Gave me the look, and I could see he was up to no good. So in those days, before you pick a fight, you had to look at people's hands. They had delicate hands, you could give them some lip, some cheek. They had hands like 2 sledgehammers. You bought them a drink. So while he's picking on me, he's also looking at the car. I said, would you like me to take you for a drive and show you how good she goes? He said, will you? His whole demeanor changed. So I took him for a drive all the way to Ilfracombe and back. He became my best friend. So I met the owner of the shop. So we negotiated the shop, and about a year later or 6 months later, I sort of moved on. My sisters, who were desperate to leave home, when are you going to get us? When are you going to come? When are we going to come? So they came with me. They stayed there. I moved on. That was probably the beginning of my world as you know it today. By then I had this dream of wanting to get 10 shops. So now I'm in the CBA Bank. The CBA is Commercial Bank of Australia, not Commonwealth Bank of Australia. Somehow I'm in the big town state manager's office. And all he could say to me, how did you get here? I said, I bank with you and I wanted to meet you and I wanted to tell you that my name is Stefan and I'm going to have a chain of hairdressing shops and I just want your advice, where is the best town to go to? And all I could get from him is, how did you get here? I said, I asked where you were and I came here. He said, Maryborough. I said, why Maryborough? He said, there's more money in the bank in Maryborough than anywhere else in Australia. So I got to Maryborough. And by chance, I'd heard that Maryborough Madeira wanted out, so it was a perfect moment. So I take the shop and I do it up, and leather chairs and fancy German hair dryers, and people come in and say, how much for a haircut? I said, 6 and 6. 6 and 6 is pound era. That's before the dollars. Approximately 66 cents. People would come in and say, how much for a haircut? So 66 cents. I said, but I can get it down the road for 56. I said, well, you better go down the road. Well, they did. 3 months later, I've got this beautiful shop empty, and I thought, this is not good. So I said to myself, if I'm not careful, I'm going to destroy what my grandfather told me not to destroy, and that's my name. So I got some butcher paper, another big white paper, stuck it on the window, and put on there free haircuts. Free haircuts, and everybody was drawn to the free haircuts. Why free haircuts? I said, I just want you to see how good we are. No tricks, free haircuts, no tricks. Well, they went in for their free haircuts, but they were like a bird, very aware or alert. What else I'm going to do? Didn't do anything, just gave them free haircuts, beautiful haircuts. Well, 6 weeks later, we were fully booked. Then I realized that you have to be competitive. You can't just decide what you want people to pay. You have to be competitive and compete, or you were gone. So that was the biggest lesson of my life in Maryborough. I was probably 2 weeks away from cut into the line. Now the longest hairdressing company in the history of Australia. People don't realize how complicated it was to get tradespeople. The system was so broken. To have an apprentice, you needed 2 senior hairdressers. There are no 2 senior hairdressers, so how do you get an apprentice? So advertising all over Australia, and people coming up to Mackay, costing me a fortune to get them there. And then I said, this is ridiculous. So I started training. And it grew. We became the biggest shop in Queensland in Mackay. So it was incredible. I'm not surprised there aren't many big chains, because it's not easy. And if it wasn't for our academy and our tenacity and our training and the investment we put into training, it wouldn't have lasted either. That everywhere I went was Adelaide, Maryborough, Adelaide Street, Brisbane, Adelaide Street. So it was almost like I was connected to Adelaide. And that was really the beginning of Stefan's. It began, the Stefan presence was there, and I was very lucky. Brisbane was growing as I was ready to blossom. After Adelaide Street, I had Chermside, then Brookside, then Indooroopilly Shopping Town, then Garden City. And I was just growing at the same pace. It was like God had it all planned for me. Whenever I did something, the door would open. And I'd gone to America and I could see the shopping centers was coming. I went to America in 69. That was a big deal for a young kid to go to America. It wasn't normal for a 26-year-old kid to hop on the plane and go around the world. And that kind of grew me mentally. Then I became aware of the Vidal Sassoons of the world, the Alexanders of the world, all the big names, and I wanted to meet them. What I found amazing is they also were happy to meet you. Is Alexander is one of the proudest photos in my collection. He was doing Elizabeth Taylor's hair. That's how big time he was. He was the first celebrity hairdresser in the world. After him, he opened the way for people. So I learned from that if you respect people, they will respect you. And I learned a lot from these people. I taught that for the rest of my life with our training. If you want to learn something, go to someone who's good at it and learn from them. It saves you a lot of time. I have never asked anyone for help and didn't get it. There were three things in hairdressing in the world. French were creative, English were technical, and the Americans were chatters. I got the three together. So that was our formula. Learn to create the creativity from the French, the techniques from the English, and the communication skills from the Americans. Once I discovered traveling, I was in. Like every year I'd go. I'd come back charged and learn things, and my attitude was different. You're sitting on the plane and you're dreaming, and by then I started to have like in excess of 100 staff. So they needed to remain motivated and excited, and you don't reach the summit by accident.
This gift is for your mum, not her kitchen. I promise you, it's one visit to the hairdresser that will be so good, she will never forget it.
One of the hardest things in the world is to make a name for yourself. But the actual hardest thing in the world is to keep that name going. And you can't keep that name going if it's not respected.
Oh, lovely. Stefan?
And Stefan, if you're not 100% happy, don't pay. Stefan?
Stefan?
You know, I started 100% money back guarantee long before it was fashionable, long before it was legal. I started that 50 years ago. If you don't love it, we will give you your money back. And people would say, aren't you crazy? You'll go broke if you give people their money back. I said, actually, you got it the other way around. You'll go broke if you're taking money from people and they're not happy. I said, for me, anyone that's not happy, not only I'm happy to give them their money back, but keep doing their hair for free until we make them happy so they can trust us. And I sort of introduced philosophy into hairdressing. To me, everybody could be a great hairdresser, but not everybody took the time to find out what a lady really wanted and did it. And if it wasn't right, hands up and redo it and keep redoing it till her eyes beamed. My philosophy is a bit like my mother's philosophy. You know, if it's not right, make it right. If it's, you don't have the right to take people's money if you don't make them happy. You don't have the right to waste people's time. If you can't do what they want from you, you need to tell them that before you start. And hairdressing is not cutting hair, and hairdressing is not coloring hair. Hairdressing is giving somebody something they paid you for in time and money that's going to make them happy. If it doesn't do that, you don't have a right to their money or their time. That's my philosophy. Do you know how many companies stay in business after 21 years? What percent? What percentage? 3%. So all those companies you see in Queen Street, they're different owners now. How many businesses stay in business for 28 years? 1.5%. And how many after that? It's an asterisk. So 60 years is a triple asterisk. But you couldn't do that without your staff. You couldn't do that without continuity of staff, good staff. I have an incredible team of people around me, incredible. I can't tell you how proud and privileged and blessed I am. And in Brisbane, we're very fortunate. We have a culture that beautiful young people want to be part of that. And that's And that's because of the incredible team we have. Rose, our general manager and my partner, is an incredible person. She is the most diligent human being I have ever met in my life. Her daughter Jess, her right hand and CEO, whatever you call her, is not big enough title for her. She knows everybody's name. Nice, smart people don't work for people that aren't nice, smart people. So we're very, very, very fortunate. We attract beautiful people because we care about people. So your staff are I have a saying that the wind beneath your wings. Without them, you're nothing, really.
Stefan is the most infectious person. He's always pushing you to think outside the box, and he's always pushing you to think about not just doing something really well, but changing it so you can do it better.
I joined Stefan in 1980, so here I am many, many, many years later, and the thing that's kept me excited about the Stefan world is he's very motivational and it just rubs off on you. And he made you feel that you could do anything, and he still does. He commands a high level of respect, and being in the Stefan world is one man created this, and he created it out of not speaking English. He just had a passion to train people, make people feel beautiful, look beautiful, and men look more handsome. And he just saw an opportunity in every moment. There was never a negative. There was always, let's look at what we can do to turn this around and make it a positive experience.
You know, sometimes it's a thing called iconic accidents. Something happens because it happens. I had this incredible hair salon. It's called Top Shop. Without a doubt, it would have been the most expensive hairdressing shop in Brisbane ever. Even I was on the corner of Queensland out on the street, they're still not coming upstairs. And the space was huge. It was 10,000 feet. So then I thought, if I can put a restaurant across there, people come up. So as I'm building that, the back half of Jojo's goes broke. It was a place called Costless. So now we have the best looking shop in the country, beautiful brasserie on the left, and the back this horrible, ugly, black, horrible thing. And I took my friend Lady Mathers, Sir Robert's wife, to show her. I said, Betty, this has come up. What do you think I should do with it? She said, Stevie boy, take it. I said, what am I going to do with it? She said, Stevie boy, you'll find a way like you do every other way. So in Brisbane in those days, you went to 3 places to eat. Milano's, that's Italian food, steak, Brecky Creek, Chinatown. So if I could put those together in coffee and cake, then the shop would work. People would come up. Well, it was unbelievable. It opened and it was just full. So we had 220 seats inside, 220 seats outside. And then Jojo's went on to become the most iconic, amazing place. For 45 years, it was an amazing place. Now I get involved in racing boats. I mean, what could be more further away for me to race boats, hairdresser racing boats? But these people, their shop was next door to Jojo's at the coast. And he sort of talked me into it. So now I'm the owner of this Eagle race team, which was the best race team in Australia. But it had no presence. So I painted pink. And everybody wanted to know why pink. I said, because you're talking about it. But why pink? I said, because it's memorable. But why pink? You're talking about it. And I didn't get it, you know. And it was not just any pink, but the whole truck was pink. The trailer was pink, everything was pink. Well, by the time the truck left Brisbane to reach Victoria, Shepparton, that's where the crew that were looking after were, it almost became famous. It's got pulled up 28 times by the police. I said, what laws are you breaking? He said, nothing, they just want to look at the dog. And to this day, everyone remembers that boat. In '89, I was Australian champion. It was iconic and it lasted the distance. We raced for 30 years. So it was an exciting journey. Again, an iconic accidental moment.
Oh my goodness, Stefan has been awarded Employer of the Year over the years, many, many, many years in a row. Since the early 80s, award after award. It became a little bit embarrassing, but you know, he deserves it.
The greatest privilege in Australia. This was a great moment of my life when I received the Order of Australia. I felt very special receiving it that day, not just for me, but for other tradies, for other normal Australians, for new Australians, for hairdressers, for plumbers, for traders. You could be anybody and still receive it. I mean, a hairdresser is a tradie, and to be a tradie and receive it was an incredible thing. I say to them, mate, if I can do it, you can do it. So, Your Excellency, Paul de Jersey, thank you very, very much. I will never forget that day.
And what a wonderful accolade. And for Stefan to be a part of this special award tonight makes me very emotional that he deserves it. He's very much someone that's given up most of his life to help other people, not only in his career and in his business, but certainly outside in the private world of people that are not so fortunate. He's helped those along the way, and a lot of people perhaps wouldn't have the lifestyle they had now if it hadn't been for Stefan helping them.
I can tell you a story about philanthropy. I was in India at a conference. I belong to an organization, it's called Young Presidents Organization. It's a very, very powerful organization. And I'm, again, young. I was the youngest YPO in Australia. I get to see Mother Teresa. Well, the hall is 2,000 people. So I stood at the back. And she's talking about giving. You gotta give. And at that time, people were stealing the money. They sent all this money to these poor countries, and it was never got to them. So I'm at the back and I said, how do we know the money we give gets to those people? This is 1984. I can see it like yesterday. She says, don't yell and don't shout. I can see you, I can hear you. I am not talking about giving money. There's more to giving than money. You got to give your time to those who need it. You got to give your skills to those who need it. You got to give of yourself. I'm not talking about money. There's more to giving than money. You understand? You give to those who need it. Give until it hurts. You get that? And she got the biggest standing ovation. Me too. Everybody stood up, and I've been teaching that ever since. It was incredible. So really, philanthropy is not just giving $1,000 to someone or $5,000 to someone. Philanthropy in our world is to train the people who give us their time. The greatest gift you can give anyone is your time. There's no greater gift you can give to anyone. And for me, I made a point of sourcing the people that can help me, but I never did it without reciprocating their generosity. Either passed on what they taught, but also reciprocated, whether it's a bottle of wine or a pen or a tie. All good people want to help you. There's no greater gift in life than time. People often ask me, what's your journey like? And I see it so clearly, standing on the box, then on stage at Albert Hall in London, representing Australia with Vidal Sassoon, then to be with Alexandra in Paris, then with YPO in New York, and then to be in Brisbane training young girls and boys. It sort of feels, 60 years feels like a month. So vivid. It's a journey, and a journey has puddles, has hills, has flat tires, has broken windscreens, has somebody running in the back of you, has running out of petrol in the middle of the night, and you got to make sure you don't let go. The tip I have for young people or anyone that's interested is don't let go. So many people are so close to reaching their goal and they let go. Don't let go. The future for me right now, realistically, is to remain as healthy as I can be. My journey is to be where I need to be for who needs me. Thank you. Get a little kiss for me. She's going to be the boss. Going to be the boss? Oh my goodness, that was priceless.